Professor Meng, thanks for the great talk. So I have two questions. One is, I'm a bit puzzled by the timing of this popular feminism. That is, we have seen since 2015 the Feminist 5, and then most recently chained women in Xuzhou. And also, if you look at the recent protests, many of the faces of those brave souls are female. But it happens in a context when China has experienced its authoritarian reversal, and freedom of speech has been curtailed during this period of time. So why popular feminism can boom during this period of time? That's first question. Second is, can you just also give briefly describe who are the supporters of those popular feminism? Are they liberals only, or also including nationalists? How about gender backgrounds and other things? Thanks.
Okay. On the first question, maybe I didn't make myself entirely clear on the slide. I didn't mean that it actually started in 2015. I think it started much before that. And 2015 was a turning point in the sense that the state started to crack down on some of these activist groups. If I had to sort of pinpoint, and also I'm reluctant to say, you know, when was really the starting point, but from my reading of some of the insiders' account of how they started taking part and they started, you know, mobilizing, a lot of people actually trace that to 1995 with the 𝗱𝗲𝘁， with the World, I think, Women's Congress that took place in Beijing. And as we know now, looking back, that was also a period some people considered the so quote unquote golden period when China was, you know, going through this more liberal, you know, era. And a lot of people would also make reference to Hillary Clinton's presence and speech during that. And after that, I think in a way, this maybe corroborate with the accusation about foreign forces intervening, that organizations like Ford Foundation did start funding some of these women's activist groups in organizing NGOs. I think some of them started with the NGOs fighting against the domestic violence. I think one of Feng Yuan and Lü Ping, and they were some of this. I think a lot of women, these early generation activists, they used to work as journalists, and then they took part in 𝗱𝗲𝘁 and then they started mobilizing. And also at that time, there was a bit more funding available from the external sources. So it didn't start, and I think you're right. You know, with the more recent authoritarian turn, there's certainly attempt trying to crack down on those. And as we have seen, you know, in a lot of those research looking at the, you know, both censorship and cracking down, I think partly the crackdown really probably came from the concern over the mobilizing power of these activist groups. It's less about their agenda per se, because, you know, for example, when the Feminist 5, when they were some of them were advocating for women's rights by they are staging this, you know, occupying male toilets that you know, because they were saying in public space always there's a long queue in the female toilets because of the, you know, so there's the gender aspect of this kind of issues. So I suspect the cracking down really came from two main concerns. One is the funding source for some of these organizations, and secondly is their ability to mobilize rather than their appeal or agenda per se. But regarding your second question, I think overall, I would say it's the younger generation of urban Chinese women who are really facing various kinds of discrimination and oppression in their daily life. So I think it's quite a wide spectrum. And we see this also, I think, interestingly, some of the observers were also noticing in the recent protest against the COVID policy, there's also a strong presence of young Chinese women. So there can be two tentative explanations for this. One is that this is the group in the last decade has had more experience mobilizing and organizing for a political cause. And secondly, this is also the group who face the most difficulty and challenge in their daily life under the stringent restriction of COVID.